What's going on, everybody? Josh Engleman for Awesemo.com, and I am back with my special Christmas Day edition of my FanDuel single game breakdown for Friday Night Football, Vikings and Saints. Now be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you know when everything goes live. I would normally tell you to follow me on Twitter at Josh Engleman so you can get the sim updates, but I'm going to be perfectly honest with you, there aren't going to be any sim updates. It's Christmas Day. I'm done with you guys after this video. I'll be back for other sports and football and stuff tomorrow, but no more sim updates. I'm outie. I got presents to open. It's going to be a good day. Finally, let me know in the comment section who are your favorite options at MVP and at Flex for tonight's slate. I didn't have it open, but I do now. Time to hit on some of the high-level stuff. 110.1, that is the average fantasy points in the optimal winning lineup. 59,000 is the median salary used. So you can spend most of your money, and you'll see why in a second. 2.1 Vikings, 2.9 Saints in the optimal lineup. The Saints are 7-point favorites at home with a 51-point game total. Now, it is time to dive in to the MVPs. And for the first time in, I think, this entire season, I can't really picture many opportunities where this has happened. There's not a quarterback at the top of the MVP spot. We're looking at Alvin Kamara, number one, showing up in the MVP spot 30% of the time. He's 15K, 22 fantasy points is the baseline projection. He's showing up significantly more frequently than Drew Brees or Kirk Cousins. Cousins is down the line. He's fifth. I'm surprised by this, but the game makes sense. Kamara, his ability to find infinite targets out of the backfield raises his floor so high, and on a team where there's not a lot of obvious individual weapons anywhere else. On the other side, Dalvin Cook, clearly a huge piece of the Vikings offense. I'm a little surprised that Kirk Cousins isn't higher, but Cook makes up the large majority, and the problem with Thielen and Jefferson is that they kind of take away from each other, and that's what pulls them down in the MVP spot. So we've got Kamara at the top 30% of the time in the MVP spot, Dalvin Cook showing up in the optimal 19% of the time, and then Drew Brees third, 16.6% of the time. Those three are the clear tops, but it's Kamara in his own tier, Cook and Brees in a second tier. Feel free to pick between those two. Pay close attention to public ownership. That matters more than anything. Then you get into the third tier, Justin Jefferson and Kirk Cousins. It's pretty clearly Jefferson over Thielen, at least in the MVP spot. We could touch on the flex spot shortly, but that's the next tier, Jefferson and Cousins. Thielen and Emmanuel Sanders are viable, 6%, 5%. You're not going anywhere after that. Everybody else is basically 1%ers. It's very different on FanDuel compared to DraftKings. Watch the DraftKings video, by the way. It's going to be around here somewhere. You need those raw points. I wouldn't go to anywhere other than Thielen or Sanders. After that, draw a line through everybody else. But right now, Kamara, even at the half-point PPR, is still the overwhelming top option at MVP. But even still, 30% of the time. That means 70% of the time, it's going to be somebody else. But you're working your way through the 7 guys that are north of 5%. Now, as we move over to the flex side, it's a little bit different. We got a couple things to touch on. Number one, at the top of the heap, Drew Brees, 14,500. Not a salary that you're all that worried about. Normally, I like getting the quarterbacks more at the MVP spot than at the flex spot, but Brees isn't expensive enough to worry about it, and I think his floor is also incredibly high. So I like using him there. Shows up in the optimal 40% of the time. He's not in his own tier, though. Kirk Cousins is at 39%. Alvin Kamara, 39%. We're rounding up here. Those three guys are pretty much interchangeable. You're going to want likely 2 of those 3 in everything that you're doing. But the guy that we really need to touch on comes up right now. I'm clicking it on the screen so I don't have to cut it. It's Marcus Callaway. He's the flat minimum 5K. I've got him projected for 6 fantasy points. That is significantly more than anybody else that's going to be priced like Callaway. He's got a pretty big role to fill in this spot, and you just save so much salary that he makes everything work. Now, he's a much better play on DraftKings where he's $200 in this spot. He's completely broken there. But you'll still see he shows up in the optimal 37% of the time. This just allows you to get more shares of Thielen, Jefferson, Cook, Kamara, the quarterbacks. This is the spot you're looking to go for value. He goes for less than 10 fantasy points 85% of the time. It's frequent. You're not looking to get him at the MVP spot, but 37% of the time you're going to need him. He is the value play on this slate. There's no one else even remotely close. This is the spot you need to go if you're trying to save some salary. Then as we work our way down, Emmanuel Sanders is at 33%, Justin Jefferson 32%, Dalvin Cook 30%, Lat Murray 28%, Adam Thielen 28%, and then Jared Cook rounding out my top 10, 23% of the time he's in the optimal lineup. I guess the summary here is don't be afraid to get yourself some Drew Brees, my number one play at the flex spot, and Marcus Callaway is the obvious no-brainer value option for today's slate. Now, to sum it all up, these are the guys that show up in the optimal lineup more frequently than anybody else, whether that's at the MVP spot or at the flex spot. Kamara on his own tier, 69% of the time he's in the optimal lineup. He is the guy you want the most. Taking a step down then, Drew Brees, 57% of the time. It's a great spot for Brees. Vikings pass defense, not all that great, 20th in the league. We're going to Kirk Cousins and Dalvin Cook after that, separated by just 1/10 of a percentage point, 49.4 for Cousins, 49.3 for Cook. Interchangeable. One of those guys is going to be in the optimal 50% of the time. There's a 25% chance you need them both. You're rostering these guys a lot. Not that you guys don't already know that. Justin Jefferson coming in 5th at 43%. Emmanuel Sanders at 38%. This is where we get Callaway in the overall scope of it. Number 7 at 37%. Then we go to Thielen, Lat Murray, and Dalvin Cook. Not Dalvin Cook, Jared Cook. Too many cooks in the kitchen. I'm really happy that I can make that pun, even though it doesn't even matter. But this is my top 10 for today. When we're talking about fades, we really need updated ownership. Callaway, not a part of it right now, so it's not something that I can touch on, but keep your eyes peeled for it. I wish I could give you those updated sim results, but it's just not going to be today. I'm going to have way too many cookies, way too much eggnog, and I'll probably need a nap after a little bit. Plus, I've got NBA to do, NBA Live Before Lock from 11 to 12 today with Greg Ehrenberg. Should be a fun time. Guys, thank you for joining me. I hope everyone has a fantastic holiday. I hope you can relax. We're going to have sports. They're all the time now. We went from a lull to basketball and football at the exact same time. It's going to be fun. I will have a showdown, or not a showdown, sorry. I will have a 3-game breakdown tomorrow for the 3-gamer on Saturday. So much football, so much to talk about. Good luck tonight, guys. I'll talk to you again tomorrow.